but you must stay vigilant, as there may also be enemies around every corner. Get ready for close quarter combat. Iceborne. On a snow-covered hill, a castle stands. There are a lot of buildings with varying heights in Iceborne, with a white church in the center. If you want to take advantage of the terrain here, why not try to attack from behind? But keep an eye out for enemies that are doing the same thing, because once you expose yourself, you'll be at the mercy of enemy fire from above. New vehicle. In the official version of Livik, players will be able to find an all-new, all-terrain UTV. It has a compact frame, holds 4 passengers, and is great for traversal. Whether it's rugged mountainous terrain or narrow streets, the UTV handles them with ease. It could be your ticket to the final circle. Advanced Supply Zone. Want to stockpile combat supplies as soon as the match starts? No worries. In the official version of Livik, an Advanced Supply Zone will spawn randomly on the map. There are more resources than usual in this zone, but that also means more competition. If you're confident in your shooting skills, then give this place a try. Good luck! New interactive gameplay. In the official version of Livik, we added lots of interactables. They help make the official map more interesting, give more resources to players, and expand their options during a match. Wild berries. When you're out in rural areas of Livik, look around carefully, and you might just find some wild berries. Eat them to help you with survival, so that you can stay fresh for battles just around the corner. Soccer Challenge. There's a new soccer field in Blomster, but that's no ordinary field. Try to score a goal and see what happens. Excellent rewards await you. Storehouse. Breaking news. A batch of weapons has been delivered to Livik, and they're hidden in the aqueduct. Destroy the wall with firearms or explosives to hoard the hidden arsenal for yourself. High-flying vehicles. When you find crates in hard-to-reach places, try looking around. This is a challenge for players that live in the fast lane. Find a nearby motorcycle and ramp to reach those crates and get the rewards prepared for daredevils. Zipline. Ziplines will be added to the official version of Livik, giving players a way to move quickly from 2 fixed points. It will help you escape from enemies or the blue zone when in a pinch. Random supplies and treasure maps. In the official version of Livik, equipment and item crates will spawn randomly, giving you more ways to get items. Also pay attention to the treasure maps on the map because they help you locate supply crates nearby, so that you can get to them quickly. In the official version of Livik in Ranked Classic mode, we will bring back the recall event for a limited time. Getting defeated no longer means the end. Every player can be recalled once. When a recall is still available, players will be able to recall teammates for a period of time after they are defeated. We also added new quick chat voices so teammates can communicate better when recalling. As for players that are being recalled, we've also improved their vision when returning to the battleground so that they can better rejoin the battle immediately after landing. Other content. In addition to the changes above, the volcano that has been dormant for years in Livik has become active. Please be cautious when it erupts and stay away from the spewing lava. That's it for the official version of Livik. We hope you like it. If you want to know more, don't forget to follow our official bull community. We look forward to seeing you in the official version of Livik. Happy gaming!
Well, hey, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages? Welcome, and super duper happy to have you here for the PUBG Mobile Independence Tournament Finals. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we got 6 rounds to determine everything, and it's a clean slate for all our finalists here. We got 3 rounds of action, mayhem, and strategy coming your way today, but first and foremost, for those of you who aren't quite acquainted as to who we are, I'm Red Eyes, your ever-lovable and adorably cuddly caster, bringing you that daily dosage of butt-kickery, tomfoolery, and all-around shenaniganism. And I'm not alone today. I am joined by my main man, DK. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, dude, that intro never gets old. It is so much fun to listen to all of that. I'm not even going to try and attempt that, but what's up, guys? My name is DK, all the way from South Africa, and quite excited to see what the teams are going to be bringing through in the finals of the Independence Tournament right here on the PUBG Mobile Esports NA channel.
Yeah, I'm expecting things to be at a very elevated level today, DK. These are the best of the best, the cream of the crop of our previous participants. So I'm expecting a lot of utilities, a lot of elevated gameplay, and a lot of strategy being implemented today.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen these teams competing over the previous 3 weeks of qualifiers to try and make their way up in towards the finals. I got to say, it's been a pretty sweaty performance coming in across the board, especially looking at what we had in just last week's performances. The teams really stepped up, cranking out as many points as they could muster. And I mean, that makes me super excited to see how that's going to translate moving into the finals.
Yeah, only time can tell. But it's going to be a clean slate, as I said, for everyone. So all the previous work that they've put in, they can't just come in thinking, that's going to save them, because this is a fresh start. Everyone who's gotten to this far is in it to win it. So we'll have to see about this elevated gameplay.
I mean, I think it's gonna be pretty crazy, right? And of course, we are gonna be making our way through 3 matches, as we saw before, starting off over on towards Erangel, after which we're gonna be heading into a little bit of that desert and then a little bit of that jungle action. So I think it's a pretty good balance to show these teams' talents as they now have the opportunity to step out onto the bread and butter of PUBG, the most well-known map, to showcase what they can do. And then, of course, we're gonna be breaking it down as we move into the other 2, which kind of lends itself to different playstyles. So I think there's going to be a lot for these teams to try and move through, but this is also only the first day. We still have yet another day of performances coming through tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's great that okay, guys, well, let's go ahead and show that we are going to be doing 3 maps today. It'll be starting off with, of course, Erangel, the very first map brought into it. And then we'll be moving our things right on over to the wide open desert of Miramar, and then taking things over to the lush, condensed jungle of Sanhok to end the day. I cannot wait, DK. And you know what's great about this is that each of these maps is a completely different land base, meaning that there's going to be completely different strategies implemented for each map. For example, you can find that Miramar is the more sniper-intensive distance fight map, whereas Sanhok is that lush, condensed, close-quarter combat fight, and Erangel's kind of nice mix of in-between.
Yeah. I mean, you've said this before. It's like the love child of Erangel and Sanhok, Miramar and Sanhok kind of combined together. That brings us over into Erangel. And we've seen these teams really showcase their talents coming through the qualifiers. But now that they're all meeting each other out on the battlefield, I'm curious to see who's going to be the one to actually step up and bring in that extra level of dominance moving through this very first match.
My apologies, DK. I just completely unplugged my earphones entirely. Missed the entire last 15 seconds of what you said, but I'm guessing it was about who's going to want it the most. And anyways, my apologies about that, guys. But we, as we said, are kicking things off with Erangel, which is the off-bred love child of Sanhok and Miramar, leaving it the perfect middle ground between those 2 extremes, which does leave it fairly reliant upon the flight path to determine what sort of early game we actually end up getting. And here we see what we're working with. It is not a bad one at all. Not perfectly central by any means, but it is going to leave enough compounds and structures for our participants to spread out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to bring a few interesting drop locations with that, but there's quite a few rotations that can be had, of course, depending on where that first initial zone is going to be moving to.
Yeah, and you can bet right away that we might get some loving at the Georgia Pole area, a little bit of Pachinki drops, maybe even a little working our way over to Primorsk and military base. Speaking of Primorsk, it looks like the crew in Egotistical is going to be dropping there, and they're not going to have anybody to contest with. Further northbound, we can see members of Puppeteer heading along the coastal edge alongside the Goat team, and it looks like we might get some early confrontation there. We also got the crew in Bope, looking like they might be dropping around the hospital area. A little further to their south, we see the GKS Esports crew dropping kind of straight down, but doing so in a bit of a spread out fashion. So that's going to be a bit of a trade-off for them. It comes with certain advantages, certain disadvantages. They're not going to be all together to help each other out, but they are going to be able to spread out in terms of loot.
Yeah, and I'm liking this early game aggression that is going to be shown by these drop locations. We can see, and as you've pointed out, several teams dropping up in pretty close proximity. So I think this is going to add that extra layer of excitement to the teams, especially in this early phase. But ideally, you want to try and get yourself situated in a good looting position where you can establish enough loot before starting to concern yourself with your positioning moving into this phase. But I don't think a lot of the teams are going to have that luxury, at least not for now.
Yeah, well, we look like we might even be getting some early action head-on. We got the boys in Bound for Glory, not too far off from the crew in Green Dagger. And elsewhere, we can see right here where we're spectating, the Goat team is not far off at all from Puppeteer. Goat team, in terms of Kotea, or Coat 4, however you say his name, he is kind of here on his own, just swimming in a pool of Puppeteer members. And so the goal for him right now is to probably lay low and not draw too much attention to himself.
Yeah, definitely you don't want to get caught out and exposed right here in the early stages. It's a little bit of a split drop. Not quite sure what it is that they were trying to pull off in that one, but who knows? It could be a very surprising play to come on in. Doesn't seem like the Puppeteers are really fully aware of that exact location just yet. But of course, now Boar is going to be having me eat my words as they now keep a very close eye on Coat, just positioned up ahead. And this could be that potential rush now going straight towards Goat.
Yeah. We'll have to see how they're going to handle things here. But you have to remember, DK, this is so early on in game with so much riding on this. Remember, there's a $5,000 prize pool in this event. So everybody here is going to be probably coming in, a little bit hesitant, and as I say that, we've already got a member of the Panthers down. So I withdraw my previous statement as the Panthers are already squaring off against none other than members of what I believe is Ultra Esports.
Yeah. It is indeed Ultra Esports, but this is quite interesting to see the team situated down on that Sosnovka military island actually looking to dial up the aggression fairly early on. Ideally, as we said before, right, this is the looting stage or the looting phase, but I'm loving the kind of strategy being shown here by the Panthers. They're not going to be waiting around to first finish up their looting stage. Instead, they're going to dial up the aggression, look to rush straight into Ultra Esports.
Yeah, the Panthers, a very well-known Tier 1 organization in North America and a very, very experienced team. They are going to be coming in fairly confident, and that's to be expected. And the Panthers show in these qualifiers just how intense of a team that they can be. When all the odds are stacked against them, they don't mind getting in the gunfights. They don't mind the aggressive gameplay, and they don't mind laying low when need be. So these guys are a pretty adaptive team. And no time to waste. Goat and the crew in Puppeteer are facing off, and that's a quick knock on Reckless as Fang goes to stick a revive with very little health to speak of.
Again, the aggression continues, and I'm loving this. Puppeteer starting to pull a few strings. We can see Reckless and Fang now getting rest right on back. And now it's going to be up to see whether or not they're going to look to push that aggression even further on. Already the players there from GOAT feeling a little bit of that sting as we saw not too long ago. It is a great showing coming in here, but again, this is kind of the early stage. I'm expecting the teams to start relaxing a little bit more. So we are seeing a little bit more of that kind of separation coming through as the teams are looking to disengage and just kind of spread themselves out into a few of those better initial setups coming into that next phase.
Yeah, all the while we got eyes on Puppeteer, they've got the GOAT crew to their south on the coastal edge, but I'm also going to keep note, just to mention, that we might even have an altercation in the works elsewhere off. We got members of Battle for Glory not too far off from Cave, so that's something that we'll be keeping an eye out. But there's also something happening towards the center of zone, potentially with the crew in GKS and Nova Esports. And guys, if anything does break down in that kill feed, we will be getting our way over there. But as we keep eyes on Puppeteer, they've already got one kill to their name, still a full 4-person squad. And it does look like GKS and Nova are going to be squaring off in the distance as Koi takes out Rivas with a DP28. But anyways, the Puppeteer crew looking fairly strong in position right now. They don't have any immediate danger, and they got one kill to their name already. And you can't put enough value on being a full 4-person team.
Ooh, yep, 100% agree with you on that. But Nova, yes, are going to come rushing straight on forward. They showed their potential in the qualifiers, and now they showcase it once again as they step up and sweep the floor with GKS Esports, our first team to head back into the lobby. But a glorious start coming through for Nova, and I can feel the team excitement just starting to build up now.
Yeah, Nova Esports, another very, very accredited, well-known organization in not just North America, elsewhere, other regions as well, but also in North America. And that team is got so much experience with one another. Talk about, confidence. You can bet they're coming in with a ton of it. And coming at GKS that quickly, GKS was one of the higher performing teams in the qualifiers, if I'm not entirely mistaken. Memory could be incorrect a little bit, but if I remember correctly, I believe they did pretty darn well and even won some matches on their first day.
Yeah, they came in from that first week of qualifiers. They placed in third with a total of 36 points, coming in with 16 eliminations, the second highest actually for that particular group. So it's quite a surprising performance to see that come in here. But now as we look on, we can see the players here from Toxic Terror also going to be looking to expand their options as they're now just moving in on towards that eastern edge of the zone. But still, a lot of terrain lies up ahead of them.
Yeah, currently, as Toxic Terror is located, their most immediate threat would be northbound at the boys in Green Dagger. But realistically, it doesn't look like Green Dagger's too eager for engagement there. So, well, as I say that, I could be incorrect. I cast or cursed him as Madalion pushes down just right by Toxic, and it looks like he's going to keep on moving. Luckily for him, the crew in Toxic Terror didn't want to take that fight head on too early on.
Yep, this is where that trigger discipline is going to come through once again. But I'm loving the rotation coming through now from Green Daggers. We can see them taking their approach up in towards the zone. But I'm also quite watchful for the players coming through there from Titan. We know that they qualified in from the wildcard section alongside the players there from the Panthers. And already we've been seeing both these teams just going absolutely to town. But the Titans not yet striking down too aggressively. But there's great potential for that coming in as we can see such a congested eastern edge of zone.
Yeah, and that is definitely going to leave options for potential gatekeeps, especially if you're, a team like Green Dagger. If you have any idea about the crews coming in behind, if you can get that coastal edge, you could do great work on potentially the Titans as well as Toxic Terror. But, that's a lot easier to say with hindsight being 2020 when we've got this spectator angle, this map view. Remember that our participants don't have the luxury of knowing where every other team is.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think it would be quite exciting to see how teams would play this out if they saw what we see. But again, it is going to be still a continuous rotation coming in as we can see a lot of teams trying to make their way on through. We see the players there from Strangers also now trying to get that kind of push all the way up from that Saverni area. Quite a bit of a ranged rotation that they have to bring on through. But it seems like a rather comfortable rotational path moving in. But now, jumping over to Nova and the players coming through from the side of Battle for Glory, there is a little bit of that tension that could be in the workings, as we can see now Cave also coming under fire.
Yeah, Rin just laying into him with that M4, doing a great bit of damage, taking him down to below half health. However, it is not going to be enough for the takedown, and so Rin is going to just focus in on rotation, getting towards his teammate, not going to be too eager for that engagement. They've already got themselves looking pretty strong on kills, and there's still that full four-person team. They want to make sure they're a four-person team come in-game, so I think they got the right idea.
Yeah, definitely a good idea coming through here from them, but we can see a few of those hits are coming in the feed as the teams are still pretty much fired up down on towards that southern edge. There's going to be none other than the players there from the Panthers actually looking to push across on towards the main island. Of course, they are going to be running straight up against some opposition. But speaking about opposition, we are seeing it right here as the players from Battle for Glory step on through. And with that, it is going to be the Panthers to get eliminated second.
Wow, I've got to say I'm a bit surprised, but, golf claps for the Battle for Glory crew. That is no small potatoes right there, taking out one of North America's Tier 1 teams. Pretty impressive this early on, and that's going to put them tied for the lead in kills with 4 to their name and still a full 4-person team.
Yeah, but they, of course, have a very fitting name for that. Is going to be none other than No Mercy, and that is exactly what they've shown right there onto the Panthers, just ripping it up. But again, now that kind of alleviates a lot of the pressure coming in on that southern edge, and we actually see from the movements of the teams, a lot of the more conversion coming in towards that more centralized band of the zone itself, and it is going to result in some pretty challenging plays once this next phase makes the shift.
Yeah, I was just about to say something kind of along those lines. Guys, we are left with a couple moments of downtime, a little bit of silence, pockets of in-between time, but that's to be expected on large maps. And large maps are going to be 2 out of the 3 maps that we're working with today. But what I always say, and I'm notorious for this statement, is a more passive early game always directly translates to a more action-packed and climactic mid or in-game. However, I wouldn't even go so far as to call this a passive early game. We've gotten quite a few kills on the board already, and we've already seen 2 teams just dominate.
Yep, and that's already 8 eliminations that have been had just in the first few minutes of the game. Well, strangely enough, we're 11 minutes in, so maybe that is 1 player per minute that is going to be dropping. I think that's not too bad of a KD coming in for the teams here. But of course, now, I mean, there's still a lot of rotational positions that can be played, but we do see the players there from the Titans actually now looking to apply a little bit of pressure as they found an open compound with someone waiting inside.
Yeah, it seems like they're getting some knocks on the crew in Alter Esports. That's definitely going to be something to get an eye on as we tune in to 6, Teak. I'm not even going to try to say his name, and Puncher. And this is going to be, it looks like whatever altercation they were coming in the mix of, they might have gotten out of it already. But Titan's looking okay. They've already got 2 kills to their name, looking like they're going to be rejoining one another. Looks like they might even be doing a 2-2 split. I could be incorrect about that, but it looks to me like they might even be doing a 3-1 split, I guess. 3-1 split in this case, which comes with a lot of advantages, actually. You know, that extra angle can make all the difference. And not only that, but if the 3-piece is pushed upon, that means that they got one little reserve, one last trick in their back pocket to get them some better placement points.
Yeah, they're of course just changing that up from a 3-1 split to a 2-1-1 split, just ensuring that they cover more ground as they still have quite a bit of real estate to work with. And of course, speaking about real estate, right, the players coming through here from Strangers, they are also going to be looking to expand their reach as they're now starting to move a little bit further towards the southern edge. We can see the team from Cave situated just up ahead of them. Now, I'm curious to see what the Strangers are going to be doing with their current angle, right? Are they going to be looking to potentially sneak up on Cave, or are they just waiting to see where this next phase is going to be going before they decide on what their next rotational path will be?
Well, we have to remember, we're just about to reach around that halfway mark, so I wouldn't even be too surprised if the Strangers were just going to be trying to hold that coastal region until the zone shift, which has just happened. Now, this is going to push them in quite an interesting direction, because the only way that I can foresee them pushing inbound, I mean, I don't see them pulling that wide rotation. I don't see them pulling that northbound rotation to the Waterland. I don't see them pulling all the way down south around Pachiki. I see them probably using the road route, and if that happens right now, they are going to be running head-on into the crew in Cave Esports.
Yeah, and Cave, they've so beautifully set up. I think it is going to be a pretty contentious play for them to try and move on through. And of course, speaking about contention, it is going to be the players here from Nova now finding themselves in a very hot and heated situation as they are getting rushed from several sides, and Titans now looking to just tighten that grip on them.
Oh my goodness, Nova reduced down to half their starting team now. Everything riding on Rin and Kindness. Yi and Koi have been eliminated. Rin's down. Kindness is the last remaining hope here for Nova Esports. This is a tricky situation. He's going to try to heal himself up before sticking a revive on his fallen teammate. It looks like they were able to trade some knocks here. Got 2 members of No Mercy knocked on either side. Scratch that. Let's make that 1 now at this point, and we'll see how that unwinds. But all the while, the crew and Puppeteer faces off against Ace of Spades.
Ooh, and I mean, it's not too often that we see this compound being played, but Puppeteer now trying to move in with force. We can see the players there from Aces just up ahead, and maybe Ace of Spades could be losing yet another player in the trade-off, but it is going to be Versa to find that first shot up in towards board. Down they go. The confirmation has been locked in, but now No Mercy also going to be keeping a very watchful eye on the players here from Nova, as we can see that Rez has come through. Nova now back up to a 2-person squad. But again, a very challenging play to be had here. The players from No Mercy also trying to bring in a bit of that 2-2 split, but it is going to be a beautiful trade coming in onto Rin, and now Nova is going to try and kill them with kindness.
Yeah, I love how you said that. But all that 1 knock was all the motivation that No Mercy needed for a push in. And as you can see, kind of shot down to about a quarter of his overall health. Going to desperately try to stick a first aid off here, but no time to do so. And Attitude just coming in there, or pardon me, Ash coming in there with that AK-47, finishing the job that his team started.
Oh, and of course, now speaking about jobs that have been started, is going to be the Puppeteers and Ace of Spades looking to kind of push this altercation to the next level. Of course, both these teams still need to try and find a way back in towards zones. We can see that blue zone is going to be underway, but that's not going to stop this altercation from going through, as the players here from Puppeteer down to the final 2. Thing, Reckless, trying to play a little bit more of a cautious approach here, trying to get those calculations sorted out before sending those utilities, but it does seem Aces could potentially be opting for a quick dash back into that zone.
Yeah, Puppeteer quite literally with their back against the wall in this position. We saw one of them just posted in that closet, just trying to put a little bit of smoke cover down in anticipation. We'll see how it plays out for him. And oh, Fang taken down and quickly thirsted. And it looks like Ace of Spades coming out victorious with their first 4 kills. And oh boy, I was going to say, what was happening there with Complexity, but they are still a 3-person team, and that is looking fairly strong at this stage.
Yep, they definitely had an ace up their sleeve, but now it is going to be a little bit more of a difficult play as that zone is going to be shrinking in once again. So you can see blue zone about to meet its completion, and there we go. The zone takes a beautiful swing, heading further up towards that northwestern side, now including a small little piece of Everest as well. Now, we've actually seen the teams being quite contentious, especially when it comes to the inclusiveness of that Everest position, and both being very close to that. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they actually started heading up a little bit further to get themselves into those elevated positions on Everest.
Yeah, that mountaintop offers a lot of incentives, and I guarantee you that almost every team on the board sees it right now. That is a lot of high ground available, just pretty much exclusively to the whoever can be king of the hill in that situation. So right now, if you're both Esports, the name of the game should be that northbound rotation, trying to get the high ground there and protect it.
Yep. Definitely need to try and protect it, but it does seem like Toxic is going to try and move that away. Now, as we can see, it is going to be the players here from Strangers. They're trying to peek across, trying to see if they can maybe find a way right on in, but they still have to try and prioritize the rotations. Meanwhile, it is going to be Titans looking to show up aggressively onto Egotistical, and with that, it is going to be another wipe coming in. 8 eliminations already in for Titan.
Yeah, Titan now taking the lead in kills, and still a full 4-person team looking extremely strong here in this position. And no time to waste, guys. We are switching our attention directly over to the crew in Green Dagger as they get closer and closer to Cave Esports. And oh, there's a Green Dagger member down. And that's not just them. They've also got the crew in Toxic Terror northbound of them. And oh, as well as Battle for Glory coming into the mix. It's all popping off right now.
Yes, sir, it is popping off like it's no one's business, and it is going to be No Mercy to face off with a little bit of a challenge as they are getting rushed. So we can see those sprays just heading up one after the other in beautiful succession, but it is going to be Green Dagger not backing off of that position just yet. No Mercy trying to see if they can maybe salvage any of these potential angles, but it's going to be a very difficult one. It is smack dab center zone, so many teams in the vicinity, not quite sure for how much longer they'll be able to hold this.
Yeah, so I see No Mercy strategy here. You know, they wanted to claim early real estate as central a position as possible. Keep in mind, they are just a 2-person team at this point, but at the same time, in putting themselves in that central position, they are surrounded by enemies on every side. Now, while there is a little bit of distance to afford to that, they still have the crew in Green Dagger right there on them. And if you are a 2-person team at this stage, maybe the best bet is getting a little bit of placement there, kind of laying low and let those numbers dwindle down. But, you know, as you can see, it doesn't seem to be the route that they're going to take.
Yeah, I think in that position, it would have been a little bit better if they were teams much closer positioned towards them. But that's all going to change now. The zone has shifted up and is inclusive of that compound once again. Of course, we can see the players there from Titan looking to tighten their grip over onto the players there from Ace of Spades. We've got a few of those utilities getting sent across. Still a heavily contested eastern edge of zone. But as you can see, still, the players here from No Mercy and Ace of Spades are going to be, or rather, the players from Green Dagger still going to be trying to hold on. But this is that situation I was talking about over on the east.
Yeah, and you can see Battle for Glory kind of doing the slow play here, and you know, I understand where they're coming from. They're doing very well so far. They got their kills, they got a full team. They want to make sure to bring that full squad come in game, but now they got a little bit of a high ground advantage here on the Strangers. They're going to try to capitalize. Vigla is taking quite a hit, being shot down to about 1/3 of his overall health. He's going to probably try to use this opportunity to smoke and heal up as best as possible, and he does have 1 first aid to do so.
Oh, but it is going to be an absolutely devastating play coming through there, as we can see the players from Strangers now facing quite a bit of a challenge. Ace of Spades also going to get eliminated, and with that we move down to our final 8 teams now looking to converge back up in towards the zone. Cave and the players there from Battle for Glory still situated over on towards that eastern side of the zone, but the situation in the zone itself is now become a little bit more relaxed, right? At least for now. It is going to be that quiet just before the storm breaks out.
Yeah, and it's exactly when I was going to use that exact same expression just now. But, you know, it seems to be a little bit of a standoff between the crew in No Mercy and Green Dagger at this point. While they are extremely close in proximity, you know, both teams are waiting for the other to make that little moment of vulnerability. And when you have that situation, that kind of situation can somewhat drag on a little bit until one heated moment where it all climaxes here. But as you can see, they might not get a lot of opportunities. No, wait, as Titan comes in after Green Dagger, putting a little bit of work in with the utility. Lucy is taken out right there and then, and Titan's just dominating.
Yeah, Titans coming in with that Thanos snap, just you know, making it work. But again, a beautiful running coming in, as we can see already 14 eliminations. They are not done just yet. B6 is the only one that is not with them at this current moment, as we can see still a very, very kind of saturated position coming in, especially across the whole entire zone. So no area in particular is going to be safe, but that zone is going to take another swing down to the southern edge, and it could potentially be working out quite favorably now, especially for the players there from Titans and of course the players from Cave.
Yeah, however, I got my eyes on Bope Esports. They are in an interesting position as they are the last full four-person team remaining. However, they are one of the few teams who has not tried to claim real estate inside this final zone here. And there's not going to be a whole lot of time as we move forward. There's 53 seconds on the clock, but I can see their strategy here. They're trying to let those numbers dwindle as well as shoot southbound at the GOAT team, so that they are trying to capitalize from their position. But, you know, is that early rotation going to be important in this situation? Because currently, as it stands, everyone seems to be on the southbound portion of the zone except for them. So it might even end up working in their favor this time.
I think a good position here would be to occupy the road, right? It's a beautiful elevated spot, as we can see, but it is already slightly occupied by the players there coming through from Titan, as well as No Mercy. Goat on the other side have been reduced down to Piper. And now things are looking a little bit on the tough edge, but it's going to be Bope trying to send those utilities out, trying to find and create a bit of an opening. But they have to act super quickly, as we can see the 14 remaining players in this match now looking to just converge and condense into the zone. What a nade!
You know, I say this very rarely, but that nade was so dirty it was clean at the same time. A monster nade by Puncher. Well-timed, well-thrown, everything. And he's going to try to use this opportunity to capitalize, trying to get a thirst as well, but that is going to be pretty wishful thinking. We'll see if he's able to pull it off. But Puncher, with 6 kills to his name, looking extremely strong there.
Yeah, I mean, Punch are going to be looking to punch it up as high as they can. I mean, staying true to your name has never been more evident than right now. But again, looking at the position coming through here for Battle for Glory, they actually find themselves in a very sweet spot, right? Just north of that zone. The only team currently occupying zone itself is going to be Cave. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to try and utilize that elevated position. And now the tables are starting to turn a little bit, as we can see both the players from No Mercy and Titans now looking to turn their efforts and their focus on moving to the east to get themselves situated into that zone. But I'm expecting quite a bit of a bloodbath to erupt over on this western edge zone.
Yeah, I think so as well. It looks like the crew in No Mercy could find themselves in a Bope Titan sandwich, and that could be bad news for them. The name of the game for them needs to be trying to get some sort of new positioning, but I don't think they're going to have an opportunity in this case as Puncher closes in, and I withdraw my previous statement. Bangash taking him down with an AK-47. That is not bad. Bangash going to try to use this opportunity to stick a revive on his one remaining fallen teammate, Ash, and try to get, hopefully, some sort of new positioning, because and you know, you hate to see it, but Bope coming back strong right there. They just a few minutes ago they had 0 kills to their name, and now look at them, still a full 4-person team, 4 kills, coming in a little bit more aggressively at this end game.
I was kind of expecting that, looking at the rotational strategy that they were bringing on through, and with that, they are looking pretty formidable, moving in, especially now from the west. They got the Titans up ahead of them, but the Titans, they've already started to suffer a little bit of the damage here, as we can see that blue zone is going to be moving on forward, tightening its grip, but up comes a beautiful spray as Teak now gets traded. It's up to Punch, and down they go, as well as Bope lock in a beautiful squad wipe.
Yeah, Bope really shining through in this end game here, showing what they are all about. 7 kills, completely, almost doubling from the just 30 seconds ago when I said they had 4. They've almost doubled their kills in that brief few moments. And look, I think they're going to be able to stick this revive without too much trouble from Cave, which might even be a mistake on Cave's end. We see Limbo being trying to make sure it doesn't happen, and he does get the knock. Oh, but revenge is best served quick, cold, and down goes Limbo in retaliation. This is one heck of an endgame, but all for Bope here.
Yes, sir. There we go. Bope clutches it out, taking down the players there from Cave to lock in that winner chicken dinner, and they do so in style, walking away with 9 eliminations, 5 assists, and 1,253 damage dealt.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a little bit dumbfounded here because Bope, I saw them as the first team, or one of the few teams that was actually holding the edge of zone at that northbound part, and they had 4 kills to their name. Actually, at the moment, they had 0 kills, and I believe maybe within a minute and a half from that point, they put on their first 4 kills. I gave it a little bit of attention. 30 seconds later, they've almost doubled it again. That's pretty impressive numbers for a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, great showing of aggression coming through there. But I got to say, as we all see once we get into those match rankings a little bit later on, it was a super aggressive performance coming through, especially from the teams that managed to lock in the first, second, and third place. But you also got to give it to No Mercy, right? We did see Ash there also just lining up those eliminations in beautiful succession, pushing it all the way up to 5 as an individual. So a very, very satisfying performance coming in there for Ash from No Mercy.
Yeah, you look at the, the top 3. Definitely seems to be a dominant kill count amongst the top 3 placing teams. But even so, when you get down to the No Mercy range, 5th place is not bad. But 5th place with 8 kills, that's going to bump you up a little bit.
Oh, yes, it's going to be a beautiful bump. That might even be enough to bump them just up ahead of the teams that finished higher, especially looking at the players there from Battle for Glory. But of course, we also now need to, well, we have the opportunity now to take a look and see who our MVP for this match is going to be.
Well, no surprise to us, it's going to be Puncher from Titan Esports. 6 kills to his name. 1,580 damage? Wow. That was a little bit disproportionate. Yeah, that's impressive. That means that he was not just putting down kills, but probably had numerous knocks that we weren't even able to see there. Very impressive performance on Puncher's end. I guarantee you his team is definitely thanking him for that 6-kill contribution. I believe they were able to put up, as you said, 14 total kills or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a pretty heavy weight right there.
Yeah, that is quite the weight, but also to put that into perspective, right? The amount of damage acquired here, or rather the amount of damage dealt by Puncher is more than the entire team of Bope was able to deal in this past match. So pretty impressive performance coming through here from just one individual player.
Yeah, that's somebody who's not afraid to get aggressive for sure. But I am curious, that's just the MVP. I am curious to see who the MVT is. If that's going to carry over to Titan, I don't foresee that. I foresee my prediction would probably go to the crew in Cave or Bope, but I could be incorrect. It's going to stand a mystery here, but we'll have to wait a few moments to find out. But Puncher really putting up a monster performance in round 1. I am curious to see if he's going to be able to maintain that momentum as we move throughout the day. But here we have it, guys. Titan Gaming, despite what I say, does actually end up taking MVT as well. And you know what? I shouldn't even be that surprised, because with Puncher putting up that much damage on his own, everything that his team puts up at that point is just icing on the cake. As they put up 2,887 damage, 14 kills to their name. 4 of those kills came from nades. Not bad work at all. Congratulations to Titan Gaming for the MVT.
Yeah, those are some pretty impressive numbers to see. And it's not too often that we see teams really with such a runaway performance, at least with regards to those utility eliminations. But again, if we now look onto Bope and Cave, right, both teams finishing on those 9 eliminations apiece. A little bit of a difference with regards to the damage that they've been able to deal there. But look at the assists coming in there from Bope. Definitely a much higher number on through. But aside from that, things look pretty balanced between Cave and Bope.
Well, I think what really shines through with Bope here is that you can see from their damage and from their kill count that they seem to know which fights to take on, which battles to pick in this case. They seem to be a little bit more picky about it, and that's completely understandable. They want to pick off the weak ones in here, and by weak ones, I obviously mean those who have been already attacked upon, those good third parties to utilize on, and, whatever advantages they can utilize. But Bope is doing so with careful precision, and I'm curious to see how that's going to move forward, because this is just Erangel, and this is the map that everyone's most acquainted with. But when we take things to the wide open desert of Miramar, it's going to be a completely different strategy, a more sniper intensive map, and you're going to have to be aware not just your immediate surroundings but your distant ones as well.
Yeah, but I gotta say, I love that kind of strategy that we saw coming through from Bope, right? Playing that elevated position before swooping into that zone. And I do think that could be a very favorable kind of play to come through and utilize over on Miramar. So I'm quite curious to see how Bope is going to try and then translate that over into the next map itself.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, only time will tell. We've got 2 more matches of action, mayhem, and strategy coming your way. We've seen how our players handled the very first map. Well, we got the wide open desert of Miramar coming next. Stick around. We'll be back at you in just a few minutes. This is the PUBG Mobile Independence Tournament. Well, alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get into it. And oh my goodness, we are just seeing this for the first time along with you guys, and this is gonna get interesting as Titan Gaming holds first place, but is tied in total points with Bope Esports, who holds second. That is impressively close here, at each other's toes. Coming in third, we've got Cave Esports just trailing right behind Bope Esports with 21 points. Then we start to see a little bit of a gap coming in our way. No Mercy still putting up a great performance, fourth place with 14 points. Then we move on to Battle for Glory, Ace of Spades, GOAT, Nova, then Green Dagger, the Panthers, Puppeteer, Toxic Terror, and further on down, as you can see. DK.
But I mean, just as I predicted, right? I said that could potentially be enough for No Mercy to just put themselves up in that fourth slot, even though they took fifth, and that is exactly what happened. So an absolutely phenomenal start, but of course it is going to be time for the lovely desert.
That's right, guys. What needs to be said about Miramar? Well, it's basically the largest map that we have in the game. Now, technically, Erangel is the same size, but that includes Erangel's bodies of water. So realistically, this is the largest map that we're going to be working with, meaning that the odds of two teams landing next to each other is just going to be a bit slimmer. But it's also the most open map that we have, meaning the odds of you being sniped from 300 meters away is just exponentially higher. So as I said in round one, you need to be not aware of just your immediate surroundings, but your distant surroundings as well. And this is a map that finds itself so large that it's almost entirely dependent upon the flight path to determine what sort of early game we end up getting, unless a team is jumping off the coastal edge and trying to get a vehicle to move north or southbound. But right away, it looks like we might even be getting an early altercation. I'm seeing members of the GOAT team, and it looks like they're dropping down southbound alongside Bope Esports, and Bope, as we've seen, putting up a very impressive in-game performance in round one and reaping the benefits from it. I am going to be pretty interested to see how GOAT reacts to that.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a beautiful altercation to come through. A little bit of that Bope GOAT action to find its way on through. But looking at the rest of the teams now, also starting to make their way down, looking for a little bit of that, for those positions to settle in. We can see Titan also moving much closer on towards that position in Pozzo, of course, finding themselves alongside the players there from the Panthers. And then just in Pozzo itself is going to be the players coming through from Green Dagger. But a beautiful zone shift over towards that southeastern side, and that is going to be quite an interesting performance, or rather a rotational path that these teams will have to find to get themselves situated up into that zone.
Yeah, currently I just can't help but keep my eyes on Cave Esports and Toxic Terror. It looks like they might be squaring off pretty much. Oh, and as I say it, the GOAT-Bope combination is kicking in full effect. And looks like we also got something happening with Battle for Glory. No time to waste. I guess we're going to move on over. Puppeteer just getting looted up. But Titan's going off in the distance. Like on the Panthers, they're really putting the work in. And, oh, my goodness. Let me check in on this. I just want to make sure before I say it. Yep. In a matter of brief moments, the Panthers has been reduced down to half their starting team. Fears and Chico are out of there, leaving things in the hands of Frady and Moso.
Wow. I mean, that is pretty insane to see so many teams finding themselves in such close proximity. Already, as we can see, 4 players have been taken out. One from Dope, one from Battle for Glory, and as you've mentioned, those 2 coming through from the Panthers. But it is going to be up to Mosa now, so we can see the feed trying to bring in a little bit of retaliation, just trying to keep those defenses up. But there we go. It is going to be Teak now to be locked on in. And the fight will continue as the Panthers trying to sneak their way up, but the Titans, they have a beautiful setup coming through in the compounds. And I think at this point, it's going to be a little bit of a battle between the hardcover, right? Looking to see whether or not the Panthers can actually find that way in, but it doesn't seem like they are too interested in that, at least not now. Instead, going to be focusing on getting themselves maybe a little bit more separated from that hard drop coming through onto the Titans. But it's not going to be the same situation down onto that southern edge between Dope and GOAT.
Yeah, it looks like Bope is potentially riding now as a 3-person team. However, one of them is not. So they are down to literally just Bape and Nitro. And Bape with a beautiful takedown on the M4, getting Ray right out of there and a quick elimination to follow. Bape, however, in a bit of trouble here, as if he survives this, just surviving with a hair on his chin. He's got literally less than 5% health. I'd say put it at 2% at best. And there's Piper. Bye-bye, Nitro, and this is looking pretty grim for Bope at this point.
Yeah, it is looking super but who knows, right? Maybe Babe will be able to pull one out of the hat, but it's going to be quite a bit of a challenge now with that rush coming in, and with that, it is going to be Goat to lock in the squad wipe onto the players here from Bope. So what a great showing that was, and I mean, it's not too surprising as we see this trend kind of happening every now and again, right? Teams that perform exceptionally well on one map get taken out quite early on the next. So, I mean, they stay true to the PUBG fashion here.
Yeah, DK, throughout this entire event, be it the qualifiers or the finals, there's definitely been specific teams to shine on specific maps, and it makes a lot of sense because each of these maps is so different in terms of geography, spacing, compound cover, that absolutely different strategies are going to be implemented. What might have worked on Erangel might not be the best route to take on a map like Miramar or Sanhok. And so these players need to keep that in mind and find a well-rounded experience with all these maps, and maybe even adjust their strategies as they move forward. And that's something that we definitely saw for a team like Bope Esports, who really shined through in round one. Coming out and being one of the first teams eliminated in round two is absolutely detrimental for them. It is not looking good. It's going to completely cancel out all that hard work that they put in at the beginning.
Yeah, and it is a little bit saddening to see that happen, but that is just the way the cookie crumbles. And of course now, speaking about cookies and crumbling, it's going to be the players from Cave and Toxic fighting it out. It is going to be Limbo Boom now to just come rushing on forward, getting those 2 eliminations confirmed, and now looking to close up that final one, as it is the only hopeful left now for Toxic Terrors, which will be none other than Dog Water. And if you want to talk about a tough position, this is exactly what it is Dog Water is finding themselves in.
Yeah, I'm actually really proud of Cave here because this is an altercation that looked like it was going to be in the mix since landing. These two teams were in extremely close proximity to each other, but as you can see, Cave being very tactical, moving in, picking them off one by one, it seems, and now Dogwater is the last remaining hope for his team, and he is just outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned in this position. However, he's firing away with that UMP, trying to give it his best shot, but ultimately to no avail, and Toxic Terror is eliminated in 15th place.
Yeah, Dog Water getting caught in the hot water, and as we can see a little bit further up north, it was the players coming through from the Puppeteers who've been able to eliminate the majority of the pressure they found themselves under, but now they need to try and get their wounded players back up and rolling once again, as we also see quite a few of the rotations now starting to progress further and further down in towards the zone, but a very centralized position up in towards Los Leones, but I'm not expecting a lot of teams really to push deep into Los Leones, potentially trying to get themselves set up on those more exterior kind of positions.
Well, I think that you must be trying to utilize a little bit of reverse psychology here. I would have expected, you know, teams to try to claim a little bit of early real estate at Leonis. And the reason why is because there's just so much condensed compound cover there that even if you are joining other teams, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be pushed on for an immediate altercation there. They just have the opportunities to really pick their battles in a situation like that. And with that much compound cover, even if you are knocked, the odds of you being thirsted if you are inside a compound are much slimmer. So I think that personally, in my opinion, Leonis seems like a good idea. However, it does look like quite a few teams are pretty hesitant there. It only seems like we've got the crew in Ace of Spades and No Mercy in that area. And if that's the case, that could be a little bit of a revenge fight from round one.
But you know what? Los Leones is one of those tricky places. It's very easy to get into, but getting out, once that zone moves away, that is where the challenge lies, right? That's what makes it so challenging, especially if there's a large number of teams still surviving, especially if it's all centered up towards that kind of city region. But looking at the kind of positioning we have for the zone for the time being, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem, but it's all going to be dependent on where this next phase is going to be taking us, as we should see that momentarily. Ooh, all right, so it doesn't center up fully over on towards Los Leones, but we could still see a little bit of occupation coming through. But I do think the teams are going to be trying to prioritize a little bit more of that southern to eastern side of this next phase.
Yeah, I would think so as well, especially given the new zone with that much opportunity at Puerto Paisio and Impala. It would be probably the sensible route to try to claim a coastal position and let those numbers dwindle down a bit. But here we see Ace of Spades and No Mercy getting closer and closer in proximity to one another. We see Shah Seer, not too far away from Complexity and Versa. However, he does have a little bit of space, and as I said, a little bit of cover in between them, so it could drag on. We'll have to wait and see. All the while, KV Esports laying waste into Green Dagger, and it's a quick knock, and Tapoka is got the taste of blood in the water, and he was going for that thirst. However, shots being fired downward from Carry, taking Tapoka down to about 1/5 of his overall health, maybe even less. He's going to use this opportunity to heal up and retaliate with the 4x M4, and he does get Madalion.
I mean, I'm gonna love this play coming through from Cave, right? We do see Tapoka now trying to distract the players coming through from Green Dagger while the rest of the team is flanking them, rotating up behind them. Now, if they pull off the strategy, it is going to be an absolute big brain play, and it could be an absolutely glorious play then coming through for Cave. But Lucy is going to try and move forward, but there we go. The rest of the team now starting to move a little bit forward, trying to condense that position on towards the Green Daggers, and now it is going to be up to what the players here from Cave can do with their current position.
Well, let's give credit to Cave Esports, to Poka especially, you know, really taking a lot of the weight there for that moment. All the pressure on him, all the attention on him, and he's still able to secure 2 knocks on that team with everyone focused in on him. This is a great opportunity for KV Sports, and this rotation could pay off, and Limbo capitalizes. It's a quick takedown on Carry with the Scar L. Nicely done.
Yep, and now it is going to be up to Cave to play out this beautiful strategy that they've come up with. As we can see, it is going to be Madeline now feeling a little bit of the pressure as the nades, utilities are getting cooked up and sent across, but they're trying to spread themselves out. Lucy now also just trying to ride up on the ridge, actually sneaks up right behind Limbo. Boom. So this is still at a point where it could swing either which way, but I'm going to be hoping that Cave can drive it through, as it is going to be Lucy to find such a great knock, and now it's all riding on Keep on this northern position, looking to see if they can follow through and back up the rest of the team.
Yeah, this is so interesting right now. Lucy completely evening the odds and then moving them forward in her advantage. Very nicely done at getting those quick knocks, and this is a real opportunity here for Madalion to capitalize as well. Oh, no time to waste, though. We got the crew in Titan not far at all from the Panthers, and it looks like, yep, one of the Titans, one of the 2 remaining Titans, has been taken down, leaving all the pressure riding on one last member, and that's going to be P6, or 6. And he's going to probably try to use his opportunity to bow out and try to get a little bit of cover, find a position to hide in, be a little bit of a sneaky desert snake if possible, and I don't blame him one bit. Lucy barely reaching her fallen teammate Carry just in the nick of time, and is going to get this revive off. Talk about a clutch save.
Yeah, and it is going to be Keep there from Cave to try and keep the team in contention as they now start looking for another potential position to rotate up in towards as they are heading down towards the zone. But of course, as we take a look over on towards this eastern side of the zone, it's going to be Strangers DB going up alongside the squad here from GKS. And for the time being, they do have a bit of an opportunity here to try and fight it out. But it is going to be Nova, as we can see now coming through in the feed, moving in from that eastern or western side rather, and just laying in to the players there from GKS. So it is making it pretty difficult for GKS now to kind of focus on one particular team as they are getting confronted from 2 sides.
Yeah, I have to kind of have a little bit of sympathy here for GKS, because boy, all they wanted was a little bit of compound cover to just remain a little bit low. But unfortunately for them, they are in the mix of a Nova GKS puppeteer sandwich here, finding themselves in the middle of a love triangle, and all the attention could fall on them. This could be pretty bad because they are only a 3-person team, and as you can see, they are playing things a little bit more reserved. So if they are taken out without any kills, it's going to be an early elimination with not a lot of points on the board, if any.
Yeah, but I'm curious to see how Nova's going to try and play this one out. We can see a little bit of movement, but they're also just trying to get themselves a little bit more established in towards that center zone. So that is where Kindness and Koi are moving in, trying to set up that 1-2-2 split. And then we've got Rin and Yi now actually keeping the pressure on towards the eastern side. So I think that's a beautiful strategy, but we're going to have to wait and see in just whether or not that is actually going to play out as the zone now moves down to that southern edge.
I'll even take it a step further. Rin and Yi doing a little bit of a split between the 2 of them, claiming high grounds on 2 separate mountains to try to get multiple angles on GKS. That is not bad. And even if things are looking grim for them, even if they are taken down, they still have 2 more members hanging low and back to carry their name on.
Beautiful plays indeed. But now, as we can see, it is going to be a mass migration from all our teams trying to get themselves situated, moving through in towards that next phase. It is going to be GOAT and No Mercy being one of the earlier teams to rotate relatively early to get themselves situated. Nova also going to be opting for a very centered kind of setup, and I do think that is going to make for a really good starting point, especially now for Nova. Speaking that they've already implemented some of their strategies, and now they've got opportunity to try and pick up a few of those trades along the way, potentially aiming down on towards No Mercy.
And I think Puppeteer has put themselves in a pretty comfortable position here. It looks like the new zone has favored them, so Puerto Paricio gives them the compound cover that they were hoping for while staying away from that central focus here. However, they've got potential trouble on the way as Strangers work their way southbound, and GKS not too far off.
Yeah, the contention will continue as the teams are all trying to vie for a decent position to pull up in towards. We also see a very interesting rotation coming through from GOAT, right? Going for a little bit more of a southern approach, trying to potentially wrap around the players there from No Mercy. But all is going to be revealed in due time as we see the players from GOAT moving closer and closer, and they could be on the very verge of striking down. But it does seem like they've actually been pushed away from that as they now look to rotate further down south, and that's going to be opening up a little bit more breathing room coming through now for No Mercy. But still, there are so many teams that are yet to find a good spot in, and it is going to be GKS to pick up a beautiful trade right on towards Alta Esports.
Yeah, and Achilles secures the thirst for the team's first kill. But I'm glad that you mentioned that, because if you do look at the zone, majority, actually almost the entirety of teams is clustered around the center, because the outer compounds aren't very common. They're few and far between. So realistically, while we do have a decent sized zone, it's all about claiming early real estate. And when you don't have that compound cover on a map as open as Miramar, it's all about knowing and studying the geography, knowing the good hills, the mountaintops, the good divots. Any possible bits of cover that you can have and utilize are absolutely crucial to know preemptively coming into this map.
Yeah, now if you're talking about a difficult or challenging position to hold, especially the one that we see the players here from Strangers situated in, right? They've got such a big elevated position right behind them with almost that cavity just on the very edge of that. So it does make it quite difficult at times to reach across. But now as we move just a little bit further down towards the southern side, we can see the players here from GOAT also now feeling a little bit of that pressure come in. It's going to be the Panthers to try and come through with a little bit of a rush on towards them as well. And I'm liking the strategy as the Panthers now look to kind of step up their performance in comparison to the previous match.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good push on the Panthers end, because whether or not they knew it, GOAT was at that point a three-person team. So in getting that knock, they even the odds pretty well. And Moso, it's going to be probably a quick thirst at this point. All the while, we got Egotistical facing off against Ace of Spades. And ooh, maybe they were just a little bit too egotistic. And in this case, that is going to fare against them as they are eliminated in 14th place.
Yep, a very bumpy ride. And speaking about bumpy rides, that zone now shifting further on towards the east, moving a slight bit up north as well. But looking at where the Panthers are coming through, they have to try and kind of figure out which is going to be the best rotational path for them to try and take. They can either stick to that road and just try and play it safe along those edges, as we can see. Meanwhile, it's going to be the Puppeteers now to come rushing forward, laying waste to one of the players there from Cave, and with that closes up the entirety of the team. But GOAT now are going to be looking to capitalize on the Panthers' position as they are trying for a little bit of an uphill battle here. But GOAT so beautifully situated, and Alf can really just out them from this point.
Yeah, interestingly enough, they are not far at all in terms of proximity from Ultra Esports. Ultra Esports also trying to utilize a bit of a high ground cover here. Whether or not they capitalize on GOAT is yet to be seen. It doesn't look like they're going to get that opportunity at this point. But all the while, GKS facing off against their opponents in Green Dagger and getting the elimination. Green Dagger eliminated in 12 as Achilles utilizes multiple nades.
Great to see all the utilities getting sent across the board. But again, right, it is still going to be a very tough and overly saturated zone, in fact, to move in towards. But I'm curious to see what's going to be happening over on towards that eastern side, right, with No Mercy and the players coming through there from the side of Puppeteers. As we do know, there is a little bit of a cliffside between them and the western edge of the zone. They also still have the players then from the Panthers moving in alongside them, and the final remaining hopeful coming through there for Battle for Glory. So still a little bit of a sweaty play that could be had. But again, looking at GOAT now, they are free to roam over on towards the southwestern side, with everyone else opting to move either to the northwest or potentially over to that eastern side.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to note this zone shifts throughout this map have been pretty unfavorable for most of the teams. However, if you're Puppeteer, this has got to be the smoothest match that you could hope for. They claimed some pretty early real estate at Puerto Paricio, and it has just been closing in their favor ever since. And so they've been holding position, allowing the opposition to push in from weak points while they hold high ground and compound cover and pick off 4 kills to their name so far, 2 of which going to Reckless, Fang, and 1 going to Fang and SGG. Looking pretty strong, maintaining a full team, 4 kills early on. As long as they can maintain this and the zone keeps favoring them, there's no reason to move.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, but speaking about moving,
Jinx.
right?
And Jinx.
It is going to be that zone moving now to the north, and it has actually moved up quite favorably now, especially looking at the Strangers position, right? They are so well spread out. They have a few compounds that they have occupied, but also trying to cover as much ground. And this is going to be an interesting position to see how that one plays out. Meanwhile, No Mercy facing off are going to be losing attitude, but they still have 3 players up to try and keep up those defenses. But it seems like the players there from Aces are going to try and push as aggressively as they can to create a bit of an opening.
Yeah, and not even to mention, they got the Panthers working their way in. Moso already ready there with a nade. Ash going to try to retaliate with the utility of his own. We'll have to see how it plays out. Keep in mind, guys, the Panthers at this point is just a 1-person team of Moso on his own. So all the pressure riding on him. He's got really no one to take any of the weight off his shoulders here. He's brought down to half health, and this nade coming in, just barely missing him. That little bit of wall is all that protects him. Ash going to try to, you know, correct it a little bit here. Ooh, Strangers coming in and just wrecking into him.
Oh, I mean, this is what I was talking about. The Strangers now just trying to capitalize on the spread. Of course, they found their first elimination, and they have got a great opportunity here to rake in several more. As you can see, those utilities now trying to reach and finds a little bit of damage on towards the Ace of Spades, but not going to be causing too much devastation. Meanwhile, that opens up the opportunity now for the players there from GOAT and the rest of the squads in the vicinity to start and lay waste, just raking up the damage. But let's see whether or not the players here from Strangers can actually push forward and potentially lock in these needed elimination points.
Yeah, keep in mind, if they allow this revive to happen, they're putting themselves once again at a number disadvantage here. So time really is of the essence. It seems like they could be wasting an opportunity, and it looks like G9 knows it. He's pushing in pretty quickly. And what a nade there by Volt X! Perfectly timed, perfectly placed, cooked it just right.
Wow, that was absolutely phenomenal to see, and it is going to be another aggressive showing. As you can see, the players there now just cleaning it up. It is going to be Strangers to get such a phenomenal jump on the players there from Ace of Spades, but it is still going to be up to No Mercy to see if they can find a little bit of a way to get themselves resituated. Still rocking a full squad, so they do have some pretty formidable numbers to try and utilize here. But as you can see, the spread of the zone is going to be super trying for everyone left in this lobby.
Yeah, we have a ton of participants for this small size of this zone. It is going to be an all-out bloodbath warfare. And if you are the Strangers, you are thanking your lucky stars. You've got literally the high ground and the only compound cover available in this final zone here. This is your match, your advantage here at this point. So they gotta really capitalize. They gotta hold all angles, try to protect their corners. Oh my goodness, whatever just happened to Ash? I didn't see a shot. I'm not sure if it was a nade, but oh, it was Fang from the Puppeteers picking him off.
Oh, those high elevated positions really playing out quite phenomenally, but it is now going to be a little bit of a turning point here, as we are yet to see the players from No Mercy actually find a position to move in. But at this point, right, I'm going to be very watchful of the players there from Puppeteer. It does seem like the squad there from Strangers have such a formidable position, but the Puppeteers can really bring quite a bit of an upset onto that region.
Yeah, the Puppeteers could be a make-or-break opportunity for the Strangers. If the Puppeteers come in southbound all the while No Mercy pushes upward or Nova from the west, it's going to spell real trouble for the Strangers. Oh, but look at him. As I said, he spelled real trouble. They said, no, we're doing just fine. As they get Nox upbound, we got Achilles from GKS Esports knocked, and it looks like Volt X is going to be able to secure the thirst right there, and then that'll be his second kill and the team's 5th.
Well, this whole position can, of course, now start to take quite a bit of a turn. The players there from Strangers still situated smack the center zone. But if we look at what we have, right, it is going to be the players from Puppeteers up north. It is going to be Nova coming in from that western side. And that could mean a lot of pressure coming through on towards the Strangers. So this could go from a favorable position to an absolutely devastating play if they are not capable of fending it, or rather defending it as best they can.
I'd argue yes. I think you're you're totally right, obviously. But at the same time, they probably still have one of the best positions. I mean, the only real position inside the zone at this point. Granted, Nova, with a little bit of high ground, still finds himself with a little ways to work themselves in. So realistically, once everyone is inside zone, Strangers would ideally have the best positioning. However, as you said, they are in a love triangle. They've got No Mercy, Puppeteer, and Nova all surrounding them with all the pressure riding on them. This is going to be a make or break situation, but keep in mind, they still have 3 people up, so they could, in theory, each all focus on a team and hold an angle. And that is Caster Curse for Puppeteers as Yi just wrecks into him with M4 6X combo. Nova now with 8 kills to their name, still a 3-person squad, looking extremely strong once again. This is a team that, you know, has dominated not just the North American region, but others as well. And you can just see the experience amongst these players. Just all the synergy, all the practice that they've implemented, they know about the difference in maps, and they know about what works where. And they have just been shining through in both matches.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, but of course, nothing is secured just yet. We still see the players here from Strangers now holding on to the compound, but this is that potential threat I was talking about. It is going to be Nova as well as No Mercy now looking to tighten up onto the Strangers, and this could be the final play as the nades get sent in, and with that, Volt X gets blown to smithereens, and our final 2 teams left to duke it out. No Mercy still rocking 2 players, and Nova sitting 3 players strong.
Yeah, this is going to be a tricky one for the crew in No Mercy, because Nova is not necessarily an in-game specialist. They are a specialist throughout the entirety of the match, but they know how to shine through come in-game, and all the numbers are in Nova's favor. However, Koi is taken down. He is able to get a knock on Shasir, leaving everything riding on Bangash, and Bangash alone. He's just above half health and does not have the high ground that Nova has, and still is able to come through with the clutch. What just happened?
Headshots, right? That is what happened. Headshots. I mean, that ridge line just working out so phenomenally in favor of No Mercy, and they are able to steal that winner chicken dinner from the clutches of Nova just in the nick of time, walking away with 7 eliminations.
Yeah, not just 7 eliminations, but let's just give them credit. 1,033 damage, not bad at all, especially, you know, considering I don't even think they were a full team at the entirety of the time, so that's pretty good work. Guys, we got No Mercy with 7 kills, but Bangash responsible for 5 of those 7. Heavy work on his end. We got the crew in Nova grabbing 2nd place, but this is, again, the same situation that we were talking about in round 1. Yes, Nova did not get the 1st place win, but they got 2nd with 11 kills. Those kills are absolutely going to play a crucial role here in the overall points board, and I'm curious to see just where they are in placement as we move forward. We got the Strangers grabbing 3rd place, and they're going to do so with 7, Puppeteers in 4th with 6, and Alter with 5th with 1 kill. But guys, no time to waste. Let's see who that MVP is. Well, as we mentioned, Bangash with 5 of his team's 7 kills, really carrying a lot of weight. But look at the damage, just barely getting by with 489. So this means, much like the winners of the previous round, Bope, he knows which fights to take on. It's not necessarily about all-out knocks and putting yourself in those aggressive situations. It's about putting yourself in the right situations, and you can tell it absolutely played out for him as he secures the victory for his team.
But I think what was such a beautiful play coming through here for No Mercy is the fact that they were situated at the bottom edge of that cliff, and it was so challenging for the players there from Strangers to actually reach those utilities across. and cause the necessary damage to them. So they were actually just in such a phenomenal position where they could sit and just look at all these utilities flying over their head and not having to worry about any of those really reaching into them. And we saw them just standing up at the opportune moment, rushing on forward and closing it out. So a very well-deserved performance coming through there for the players from No Mercy. But of course, it is going to be Nova to take our MVP here with those 11 eliminations confirmed.
And this should be no surprise to anyone that knows about their kill count here. Nova, even though with second place, as I said, with a number of kills that high, I think it's going to put them in contention for the top there. 1,917 damage amongst 11 kills. That means that they are just all out aggressive through and through. And as we said in the match, this is a map that is a lot different than Erangel. What works on Erangel might not work on Miramar. It's a more sniper intensive map. But what I love about Nova is they're like snake-like tactics. And I don't mean snake in terms of the belly crawling. I mean snake in terms of constricting like a boa around their opponent. They surround them on multiple angles and then just slowly close that distance in and close that distance in from multiple angles and just pick them off. But let's have a look-see here comparing No Mercy and Nova. As you can see, Nova dominates in terms of kills, damage, assists, and grenade kills. However, No Mercy knows, as I said, knows which fights to take on and was able to get that dub. It's going to be really interesting to see the overall point board as we move forward into round 3.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting to see the different dynamics being at play here, right? Because it's a balance between those placement points and the eliminations, but it is going to be the players from No Mercy to sit at the top of the leaderboard with a total of 36 points after our first 2 matches, with the Titans hot on their heels, just 6 points away, but a very much more balanced kind of play coming in if we look at that placement and elimination point balance that we have in their favor.
Yeah, and then things start to get a little bit more interesting because 3rd, 4th, and 5th place are literally 2 points apart from one another. Nova just holding a lead over Cave Esports by a hairline, 27 points to Cave's 26. And then Cave, with absolutely no comfort position, 1 point behind Nova and only 1 point above Bope Esports. What is surprising about this is Bope was eliminated, one of the first teams to leave in this match, and they are still able to hold on to 5th place overall. So they are very much still in the running here.
Yep, definitely not a team to disregard at this point. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen when we move into our final match of the day. Of course, it is going to be time for some lovely, crazy, aggressive Sanhok to come through. And based on what we've already seen on Erangel and Miramar, I think Sanhok is going to be quite a map in which the teams are going to be popping off quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm expecting some close quarter combat right off the bat, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and predict it. We might get some heal strats. And by that, I mean the guys who are dead zone camping with a ton of first aids. Might not be the most exciting thing to watch, but boy, oh boy, is it effective. And guys, we've seen how our players handle the very first map ever. We've seen how they handle the wide open desert of Miramar, but we are about to take things to the lush, condensed, close quarter combat intensive map of Sanhok. Please stick around, guys. We'll be back in just a few short minutes with our 3rd and final match of the day for the PUBG Mobile Independence Tournament. Be back soon.
to me.
Well, alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our third and final match of the day of the PUBG Mobile Independence Tournament Finals. We've seen how our players handle the first map of Miramar, or pardon me, Erangel. We've seen how they handle the wide open desert of Miramar, but now we're taking things to the lush, condensed jungle of Sanhok. And boy, oh boy, what needs to be said about Sanhok? Basically, it's the exact opposite of our last match. The last match was Miramar, but this is our smallest map that we're going to be dealing with today. Technically, Livik and Karakin are smaller, but we don't mess with those. Smallest map that we got, meaning the odds of two teams landing next to each other is just incrementally higher, but it's also the most condensed map that we've got, meaning it's the most lush in vegetation. There's more natural cover to take, more grass to hide inside, and trees and boulders to hide behind. So you need to be alert for a higher than average number of snakes than usual. And the third and final thing, as you can see, is that this map is so small, it's not hard to jump to pretty much anywhere you want on the map, regardless of the flight path. But boy, oh boy, oh boy, if you are our participants, you are gritting your teeth in anger right now, as this first zone is just an absolute nightmare for them. But boy, for us, the viewer, it's great, because it's going to even limit their options even more. But looks like we already are getting some potential action here in the mix. At the boot camp area, I see the Panthers dropping not far off from the Puppeteers, and even behind them, they got the GOAT people at the warehouses at boot camp as well. That's going to put Puppeteers in a pretty interesting position. Also at Paradise, we can see members of GKS facing off against the crew in Green Dagger. And there's the nade by Lucy, taking Kolega and Tonka right out of the equation. Two birds, one stone, so to speak. And oh boy, Rivas is down as well, leaving things in the hands of Achilles, and Achilles alone, and he is just the last and final hope for GKS. Talk about a rough ending to the day.
Yeah, I mean, that was an absolutely insane start to the action there, but the players from Green Dagger really stepping up as we now quickly jump down to Camp Charlie. It is going to be Ace of Spades up against, Nickrox coming through here from Bob rather. I'm not quite sure where the rest of the team are currently situated. It does seem like they are just a little bit further. Oh, as we see Fuego not too far away either. Will they be able to bring in any helping hands? As it is going to be Nickrox now to get taken on down. And it is now turned into a little bit of a hide and seek situation there. But as we move back up into boot camp, there's going to be the Panthers, the players coming through here from the side of Puppeteers, and GOAT getting ready to take the aggression to the next stage. Panthers now going to be looking to just get those reses back into the team, bring them back up into fighting form. But the Puppeteers, they are not done just yet. They want to look to try and find all the angles they can lock in.
Yeah, and I hate to, go back to our previous topic here, but, Boat, this was such a pivotal match for them, such a crucial one that they needed to perform well on. Being reduced down to one member this early on in game is going to be a huge hit for them. It's all about laying low for Fuego at this point, and, luckily for him, there's never a more opportune map to do it on, but boy, oh boy, if any pressure builds on him and Bope is eliminated early on, it's going to take them way down the rafters in terms of placement. Currently, they hold 5th place, but it's going to be tricky moving forward. It's going to be a rough ending to their first day.
Yeah, and as we saw, those leaderboards are still pretty close, so any major changes could change that up quite a bit, especially moving into this last match. But here we have the Puppeteers now coming in with a bit of a rush, and and with that, it is going to be the Puppeteers now getting absolutely obliterated as they make their way back to the lobby. Our second team to get sent away. GOAT not out of it just yet, and it is going to be the players there from the Panthers pushing on forward, but GOAT gets taken on down, and now GOAT have their numbers really starting to dwindle, but this could still swing in either direction. So you can see the Panthers sitting on 2 and GOAT just there alongside them on 3.
To me, this boils down to a little bit of a difference in experience on my end, because GOAT really, they had the advantage in their favor. They had the numbers, the manpower, and the guns to outweigh the Panthers. I withdraw my previous statement. The Panthers are a three-piece team. For a moment, I thought they were a two-piece, and I thought the advantage was in favor of GOAT. But regardless, the Panthers, the point I'm making still stands the same. The Panthers are just such an experienced team with these 4 players that you really need to be on guard. Even if they are a two-piece or spread out in individual positions, they know how to utilize each other's position and have angles on one another. And so, yes, GOAT does have an interesting opportunity here as they surround the Panthers on 3 sides. This is kind of that Nova tactic that we were talking about in match 2, where they surround all the different angles and just constrict. So this is realistically, as I started off this sentence, I was favoring the Panthers, but GOAT really does have the prime positioning here.
I mean, that's why their name is GOAT, right? We know exactly what that implies, but it is going to be the Panthers now looking to make a bit of a gain here as they start rushing up onto that top floor. It is going to be Moso and Chico keeping a watch on the window, but a rush comes up behind Ray and Brady steps up and down they go. Beautiful execution coming in, but now Piper is also about to get rushed as we can see that push coming through, and this could be the turning point for the Panthers now to come clawing back into contention.
Yeah, and these are the Panthers hunting in full form, just picking off GOATs one by one by one. And now, at this point, GOAT is down to AUF alone, and he is in the thick of it. Putting some damage down into Moso, taking him down to below 1/4 of his overall health. But it is just quick work for Chico as he comes in with that UMP, and that is going to be GOAT eliminated in 14th place.
Well, we gotta love it, right? The aggression absolutely non-stop. We are only a few minutes into this game, only sitting on 6, and we've already lost 3 of our teams and quite a few players, but that zone is going to continue further on towards the northwestern side. Nova, and the players coming through from No Mercy, looking quite secured up on those elevated positions we have sitting on that northwestern island. But I'm curious to see how the rest of the lobby is going to look to try and rotate. We can see the players there from Ace of Spades now with a very slow push heading towards that more western position. But Fuego already hopping in the boat, and we could see a little bit of that boatation action coming in, and that could be a very essential play, especially now for Boat to try and make.
And it's important to notice the zone shift as well. You know, it started off with just a huge portion being occupied by water, and while it has dialed back a little bit more onto the land, a huge portion of the zone is still occupied by water here. The good thing for our participants in this case is that it happened on Sanhok, where there is so much cover to take. There's a lot of compounds spread out, and there's just so much natural cover. Whereas if this had happened on a map like Miramar, it could be an absolute detrimental loss for a ton of participants. So while I am, going to say it is good for us, the viewer, because it limits their options, this is a map that you can really hide in. You can find good ways to hide pretty much wherever you're at. So we'll have to see how it plays out. We still have quite a few teams that need to push inward to zone, about 4 teams still outside. And as you said, DK, it does look like No Mercy and Nova looks to be one of our closest contesters here. Also, we can see members of GKS not far off from the crew in Green Dagger. But here we have it, Ash firing down, 3x M4 in hand, trying to get some damage in there on Decoy and Kindness, but not finding the connecting hits he was hoping for.
Yeah, we saw a very strong kind of performance coming through from Ash in our very first match, and I'm curious to see how that's going to move through in towards Sanhok. But looking at the position being held here by No Mercy, they're really looking to capitalize on this elevated ground as they have such a great line of sight down onto the potential angles of Nova. But Nova, they're smarter than that, right? They're going to be opting in for those compounds to try to utilize the hard cover, but it's going to be Rin and Yi now just tempting fate as they look to just shuffle things up a little bit more.
Yeah, whether or not Nova is aware of Shasir, I would bet not, just given what Ren and Yi are doing here. But they will find out pretty quickly. Oh, Kindness, if Shasir does decide to engage on them, that could have been a detrimental mistake. But it does look like he thinks a little bit better of it and holds position a little longer here with that 6x M4 ready and waiting, providing a little bit of info for his teammates.
Yeah, you got to appreciate that this is the trigger discipline coming through on that front. Meanwhile, it is now that opportunity for No Mercy to try and also just restructure the kind of fortifications that they've got lined in. And still, Shasir keeping a very watchful eye, not taking the shot on towards Koi. Instead, is going to be waiting around to see what will be happening. Coming through here from the side of Novas, we can see Yi now taking a little bit of damage. But that is as a result of the players from the Predators moving in from that eastern side. So a very challenging play, especially looking at the fact that the zone is going to be closing up once again, and we'll be moving into that third phase. And this could be really shaking things up quite considerably for these teams now.
And of course, when we speak about the Predators, we're talking about the Panthers in their natural habitat here, this jungle environment, as they came in and did a little bit of damage. They're chipping away at Yi. However, with Yi and Ren both holding a little bit of compound cover, they're probably going to get those opportunities to heal up pretty easily there. However, it does put the Nova crew in a rough, tricky position, sandwiched in between No Mercy and the Panthers. A lot of focus is going to be on them. Luckily for them, they got Kindness and Koi, who were able to branch off a little bit, get a nice little bit of high ground over the Panthers here. However, it could be easy pickings for Shasir if they're not too careful and give up that hill cover.
I'm so glad you got that translation right. I'm so glad you read my mind that I was actually talking about the Panthers on that one. Thank you so much for that. But yes, now we look to see what the teams are going to be doing as that zone now just tightens up on itself. And this now kind of allows for this continuation to come through from Nova, No Mercy, and the players coming through there from the side of the Panthers, as this is where I think the positions are going to be tried, or they're going to try and leverage their positions, especially referring to the players there from No Mercy. And they've been looking at the kind of options just laid out before them.
Yeah, and speaking of leverage, Egotistical has quite a bit of leverage over their opponents in Alter Esports. Alter Esports occupying the Hot 10 area, and they're going to have to work their way inbound. Actually, they're occupying the compounds outside of Hot 10, whereas Egotistical owns the coast of Hot 10. And that is going to be a tricky position for Alter Esports. Whether or not they realize that they need to pull a wide rotation is yet to be seen. All the while, it looks like Alter Esports firing across the riverway over at Strangers. And this is really interesting because Strangers is obviously preoccupied by Green Dagger here.
I mean, it's not too often that we see these really ranged assaults coming through, but it is going to be up to the place now from Green Dagger to try and find a good point, or good anchor point to set up. As we can see, it is going to be a potential play on towards Revenge, as Curry now cooks up the nade, sends it out. Will it find the damage? No, it does seem like it is going to be a safe position, at least for Revenge, for the time being. But the rotations are still to come on through, and this is where things are going to get a little bit more contentious, as Green Dagger are not going to settle for missing that one utility. Instead, it looks like they're going to try and potentially apply even more pressure on towards the place there from Strangers.
Yeah, this could be a real opportunity for Sari and Lucy here. They've got the number advantage over Revenge. Whether or not they're aware of it is yet to be seen, but his location is absolutely no secret to him. So realistically, what are his options other than laying low? He doesn't have much. Even to fall back on, you try to fall back down the hill, you've got Green Dagger ready and waiting for you to do it. So I think he's kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place, quite literally.
Yes, that is 100% correct, that it is going to be that blue zone now to close on forward, and that's going to be forcing the hand of a few teams here. But still, the players from Strangers not situated securely within the zone. It's going to be quite a bit of pressure now, relying on the shoulders of Revenge. But up comes nades. It is an absolute sweet spot coming through as that nade makes connection, and with that, just opens up the floodgates now for Green Dagger.
Yeah, you know Sari is feeling the euphoria right now. All that serotonin going through Sari's brain. Nothing feels better than to get that nade knock. And boy, what a beautifully timed nade it was. And unfortunately for them, it looks like 69 is going to go for a revive. Whether or not that works out, Sari getting the nade on Revenge for the thirst. And oh boy, lightning strikes twice in the same spot. Getting eyes on Strangers, at this point reduced down to Golden Boy and 69. They are firing across the way over at members of Egotistical. However, Egotistical a little bit more focused in on Alter.
Yep, and up comes the rush now, as we can see Dewey trying to push on forward, but instead opts to rotate a little bit further away. And this now provides a great opportunity for the players to come through and get a little bit of a reset. With that, I'm referring to Alta, and they come and look to leverage that as they find the head up in towards Dewey. And now EBK, the final player, left to try and make anything happen or something happen with their current position. But Zone has started to move. EBK, of course, positioned out in the blue zone, but Alta Esports are going to be riding high, and now they need to try and prioritize their position moving further in towards the zone. But first, they need to push through the players of Cave as well as Kindness coming from Nova.
Yeah, and it looks like Cave and Nova are going to square off with each other right now, which is going to give Ultra Esports a little bit of lenience here. And it looks like Cave has reduced Nova down to Rin and Yi at this point. Interestingly enough to note, we got No Mercy squaring off against the crew in Battle for Glory at the south end into zone. But also, interestingly enough to note, is Ace of Spades has been holding the dead zone now for minutes upon minutes. And it looks like we got Versa hanging back a little bit as his teammates Nemesis rotates into zone just finally. And so we could be, as I predicted, about to see that heal strat in full effect.
Yeah, we could 100% see that come through, and it does seem like that is what we're going to be having, at least coming through from the egotistical side, positioned up in towards the north. Meanwhile, there's going to be Ace of Space and rushing forward, but look at that nade getting sent in by Bang Ash right there on towards Battle for Glory, not finding the knock, not finding that opportunity, but it is not going to be stopping them there as they now look to quickly reshuffle their approach and maybe find another angle to push in on towards Battle for Glory.
Yeah, it looks like No Mercy, Bangash having a little bit of a slower start than he did in round two, kind of playing the slow game here, and that is completely understandable, as No Mercy is a team that has, fared fairly well today. They want to make sure they make that in-game placement point. They want to do that, but however, they cannot forget about the emphasis of kills. They are going to have to time it perfectly here because they are more than likely trying to do that in-game approach where they lay low, let the numbers dwindle down a bit, and try to capitalize come in-game. But it is important that you act in time. And speaking of which, we got Shasir here aiming upward at members of Battle for Glory. I think he had a line of sight for a brief moment there. And he's also got the Titans across the way with members, I guess, AXZCER. I don't even know how to pronounce it, working his way towards their altercation.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a very difficult play to come on through. And speaking about difficult, the players there from Alta Esports are going to be facing that blue zone. As you can see them now dropping one after the other. There's going to be Rin, though, to get traded up there as Mr. Attitude steps it up and just lays waste to them. We got Yi just holding up on the very edge, and a very compromising play actually trying to come through there from Nova. Not only are they getting focused on by No Mercy, but there's several teams positioned just behind them, which can make that a very difficult position to try and secure, at least for the time being. But it is going to be that locked in head, and it is then Yi to get eliminated, and Nova make their way off of Sanhok. Down to the final 9 teams we go, and still a heavily congested zone to play.
As much as you hate to see a team as experienced as Nova being eliminated that early on, what that means for this event as a whole is this just got a lot spicier for tomorrow. All our top contenders are getting a little bit of karma thrown at them, a little bit of the other side of the coin thrown at them here, and they're being eliminated fairly early on. Everyone here has a chance to really make up for any loss of points that they've made in today. As long as you're in that maybe 5th to 9th place range, I think that everyone in that top half of the bracket still has a shot at this come tomorrow.
Yep, they definitely would have a shot at it. But of course, speaking about having a shot at it, we can see the players there from the Panthers now rushing on forward. Nemesis also fighting the sprays up into Titan, but Titan caught in such a difficult and challenging position. It is going to be P6 now to move on forward, trying to keep the Titans in contention as they look to find a good place to rotate up in towards. But Nemesis is going to be absolutely devastating, just lining up head after head. Same thing can of course be said here for Shir as they find those angles onto with the players from Battle for Glory. But it's going to be a little bit of a vengeance play coming in here from Viggles as they look to just defend the position while still trying to maintain a potential play to move back in towards the zone.
And this is that in-game no mercy that I predicted. A lot, stepping up their aggression a lot come the end of the game, as Shaseer just getting knock after knock after knock. However, they are going to have to play things a little bit carefully here because they have been reduced down to just a two-person team. That all-out aggression as a two-piece is going to be a little bit more difficult. So here we see that condensed geography coming into effect. The lush grass providing what cover it can to Shaseer as he creeps forward, being a sneaky little snake, a belly bandit, if you will. Guys, we are down to our final two teams at this point. It's going to be No Mercy facing off against the Panthers in a 2v1. And Moso getting Shaseer. Oh my goodness, No Mercy. Well, as I was talking about the odds evening out, it does look like No Mercy is able to grab a double dub, if you will. And that's a little bit different than what I was saying just a few moments ago. I completely forgot about the reign of No Mercy there, as they get another dub, securing first place with 5 kills and 5 assists. Amazing performance there, especially on the ends of Bangash and Sashir.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing better than a little bit of that double up to come on through. So we've seen No Mercy now looking absolutely phenomenal, moving through Miramar, and then also stepping up into Sanhok. Now that's all that's left is for them to bring in a winner and a chicken dinner on Erangel, and they've got the full house. So I think it's going to be quite exciting to see what they'll have in store for us tomorrow, but an absolutely phenomenal performance coming through. But I got to say, the players there from the Panthers also bringing in some substantial plays, right? Finishing on those 9 eliminations, and that is also quite a great showing of aggression coming in.
Yeah, well, the Panthers is a team that really had a lot riding on round 3. They really shined in round 1 and had a bit of an early elimination come round 2. So they came in guns a-blazing. They had the thirst for blood in round 3. They knew that it was a critical one for them as they move forward. Well, guys, no time to waste. Let's go have a look at our MVP of the match. Well, it's going to be Moso from the Panthers. He's going to be taking that with 5 kills and some extra damage to add on to that. He's got 713 to his name. And let's just take notice, his team had put up 8, so he's responsible for over half of his team's kills. And I believe he's the only person on the board who is able to put up past 4. So great work on his end.
Yeah, super impressive performance coming in here from Moso. It is indeed the highest amount of eliminations for a single player in this match. We did see Nemesis from Ace of Spades coming quite close, finishing on 4. But what a play that is, and a really healthy amount of damage being dealt here. I'm loving this conversion rate coming through. So not a lot of wastage here, right? A lot of those hits connected, translating into those eliminations. So well done to Moso.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not even a bit surprised about it. And I'm not surprised to see that the Panthers also secure the MVT award with 1,624 damage. 9 kills to their name total. While none of them were from nades, 9 kills is pretty impressive numbers. And this is a team that I really expect to see it from. I'm not surprised to see Moso as the MVP because this is a top-of-the-line team in North America. They are accredited as such, and they have so much experience with one another that even when they are doing a 1-1-1-1 split, they still have each other's backs, and they shine through. And even as we saw what the Panthers did to the GOATs in that match, coming in, surrounding them, and just constricting, they had this in the bag from that moment. Let's have a moment to just give appreciation to the comparison of Green Dagger and Ace of Spades. Pretty close in terms of kills. However, you can see Green Dagger shining through with almost double the damage of Ace of Spades. They do match an assist, but there's a pretty big gap between the two.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate that the Green Daggers got sent back a little bit earlier than anticipated, but still a very valiant effort being brought in. As we can see, those eliminations looking pretty toasty. But Ace of Spades, right, they were trying to kind of play that position that they had moving through the zone. We did see a very delayed kind of strategy coming in with them hanging back in that blue zone for the longest time. But I appreciate the rush that came through from that, right? When they eventually decided it was go time, they pushed on forward, and at least they were able to secure themselves a fifth-place finish.
And, you know, credit where credit is due. Green Dagger really knowing how to play out on the aggressive. I think as they move forward, it's going to be about trying to find that balance for them and getting a little bit more emphasis on placement because they know how to get aggressive. But guys, having a look-see at it, No Mercy holding the lead with a total of 56 points here. They're coming seconded only to Titan Gaming here, 14 points behind. That's a pretty decent gap. So Titan Gaming is going to absolutely have some work to do if they want to make up that gap. And same can be said about our third place, Bope Esports, 10 points behind second with 32. And once again, here's where things start to get a little bit spicy. Bope and Cave at each other's heels here. 1 point is all that separates these two. And there's not even a far gap between the Panthers, who are right behind them, and Nova. They're tied at 28-28. Let's look even further. Ace of Spades, Battle for Glory, tied at 24-24. This is a lot of close contention here from the third place to the 8th place range.
Yeah, this is quite the competitive lobby, and I'm gotta say I'm absolutely loving it. But one thing that I would like to see, though, come tomorrow, right, is going to be the players there from Green Dagger. They've already been showing a lot with regards to aggression. I just want to see them now bring in a little bit of that longevity and survive into those later stages so they could add on those placement points to the tally.
That's exactly what I couldn't agree with it more. Well, guys, it has been an insane first day. We have seen just all-out bloodbath warfare, and guess what? We got 3 more matches of action, mayhem, and strategy coming to you same time, same place tomorrow as we take in the second half of the PUBG Mobile Independence Tournament Finals. We hope to see you then. In the meantime, it's been a pleasure casting. I'm Red Eyes. This is DK. We'll see you tomorrow. You like how I